Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Fry Plantain, and today I'm going to be checking out the latest episode of Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. And in this episode, Sheryl Underwood is going to be talking about her time at the Kevin Hart roast. And we all know Sheryl Underwood. She's received some backlash. A lot of people have been asking why she just sat down and allowed people to make jokes about her husband who passed away from the big S. If it's your first time on this channel, I'd greatly appreciate if you could tap that like button, comment below and subscribe. And now without further ado, let's do this.
That's why I said what I said at the roast. You're not going to agree. It's a roast, and it's a new generation of roast. It's no longer Rimshot, Don Rickles, Dean Martin, Pearl Bailey, Lucille Ball.
And it wasn't in a small room where we're all friends. This is in an arena on national television. We never met.
That's right. And it's international.
Yeah.
Right. But what I liked about it was you could see the camaraderie. And I think even talking about the George Floyd joke that Tony told, but I believe on the side of the Cookout crew, Pete Davidson represented with the Charlie Kirk joke.
I agree. You got to be offended by both or neither. That's how I felt about that. But.
That's right. But you should be, the reaction should be offense. The Floyd family should be upset. There should be a crew of people that are mad because that's the reaction you have, right? Because you're not thinking about freedom of speech. You're thinking about your brother who was murdered by a system. But on the same token, I tell people it's a roast and it's a new generation of roasters because everybody's like, sure, how did you feel that they talked about your dead husband committing suicide? Okay, it really truly happened, and it happened over 30 years ago.
Also, I called you.
People have every right to feel pissed off about some of the jokes that were told at the Kevin Hart roast. You know, some of those jokes were quite explosive. Were quite, you know, they walked that fine line between offensiveness and funny. So I can kind of understand where Cheryl's coming from, and I understand where a lot of black individuals are coming from. And of course, in regards to Sheryl Underwood's husband, I mean, it's her husband. Shane did call her beforehand to explain that he was gonna tell these jokes. If she didn't want those jokes to be told, she wouldn't have allowed Shane to tell those jokes, you know. She would have told him over the phone, do not do this, do not do that. Comedians are different. They think differently to the average common Joe. You know, the average Joe is gonna sit down and listen to these jokes and think, oh my gosh, they're absolutely diabolical. But for a lot of comedians, it's just another day at the job, another, you know, peculiar day at the job.
That, can I tell you honestly, and that's what I've been doing in the interviews, is telling people, listen, if they had not come with respect and said, these are the topics.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what was going to be said. And I did not know that Tony was going to do the George Floyd joke.
Yeah.
But when he did it, like I was over there like scribbling on paper and asking God, send me the response. Send me the response like the response to you. Send me the response, but I don't want to be mean-spirited. But with Tony and the George Floyd joke, my only feeling is if you don't have the right response that blows up the room even further, you've set back the cause. So sometimes it's say less. If you ain't got nothing good to cut his throat with, figuratively about comedy, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Because you're gonna make it worse, in my opinion. What do you think?
I agree. I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like especially with the like the late husband talk, it was like this deeply personal, like a tragedy. And the thing no one talks about is like, you know, that's like horrific to even think about, and to be up there and just like laughing and making like a joke. And to me, it's like a triumph where you're like, you rose above it. You made a big joke out of everything. No one ever talks about that. They're like, I thought it was, I watched it. I was like, this is beautiful. And then you came up and I think Shane said a lot of your stuff was kind of like off the cuff, the last minute, not even on the teleprompter. I was like, that like really blew me away. Because I was like, how do you do that in that room? I would be glued to the teleprompter, sweating, reading it. And to be like, all right, I have my own notes. I just formulated on a stage, on live TV, in front of an arena of people. I really was. I was like, this is amazing.
Faith in God.
Yeah.
Ask God, send me the words. Feeling safe. feeling like I'm not being attacked, so I don't have to be defensive. I don't have to be thin-skinned.
Yeah, I mean, it's a roast. It's a roast. Just like she said, it's a roast, you know? And so people are gonna punch below the belt. These comedians come from a different generation, especially, you know, the Tony Hinchcliffes of the world, that whole Rogan sphere crowd. They come from a different generation. They're younger. They're in their 20s, their 30s, early 40s. You know, these are younger comedians, so they see things very differently. They're very aggressive. And of course, it's a roast. You're trying to dismantle your opponent. You're trying to completely obliterate the entire scene. You want no one to come for your neck. So in order for no one to come for your neck, you gotta come for everyone's neck. Now, if she did clap back and the joke sucked, then people are just gonna be clowning her. They're gonna be saying she sucks as a comedian. So I kind of understand where she's coming from.
When you say culturally, sometimes humor is the thing. It's the most uncomfortable humor that really kind of it kind of lessens the tension and the stress. When you say,
Yeah, absolutely.
do you feel you've ever gone too far in something?
Yeah, for sure. But then you're like, you know, as soon as you do it in a club, as soon as you're wrong, you go, oh, shit. My bad.
But I mean, puns are supposed to get groans. Scatological humor, shit jokes, you know, they make you giggle like a kid. You know, the analysis of humor is what I love. But if you dissect the joke so hard, it's like a frog. You got to kill it to dissect it.
Yeah.
But to me, for the people who are upset and on social media, I feel like you have a right to be that, because now I get to talk about mental illness in men, and specifically Black men, that men feel, I don't need therapy, I don't need this, I don't need that, right, in this society. But people say, well, how could you sit there? Oh, it was offensive. Well, don't be offended for me if I'm not offended, but be offended for your point of view. And you can have your point of view.
Recently, you know, I'm sure you guys have heard, I made a few videos about it. Joe Rogan was basically speaking on behalf of Theo Von. He was essentially saying that Theo Von is struggling mentally. He's taking all these pharmaceutical drugs. He's speaking about Palestine and he doesn't really know what's going on. And he's, you know, his mind is going crazy. Like, it wasn't really Joe Rogan's place to say those things. And Theo Von punched back, he kicked back. There's that wrong, Joe. You're capping, you're lying, you're chatting absolute garbage. So it's like, it's up to the individual. If the individual that's you know, getting roasted doesn't have an issue with it, then there's no issue. Now, you can be offended, but to be offended on behalf of someone else, that's where things get a bit iffy, if you ask me. So yeah, very, very interesting conversation. I'm sure this is going to go on for a while, so let me just leave it there. Hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you later.